Damn these Biloxi blues, it happens every night.
Every night.
And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
Nope.
The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sing.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
No.
I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the hook right
Just
here.
a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, not so live from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful southern Middle Tennessee. Hope all you low lifers are doing well out there. And this is the podcast for Monday, March the 6th. And we have clicked over another page on the calendar. They go by really fast these days, it seems like, but we're certainly headed towards better times, better fishing. Of course, you can't say it's been much of a winter around here. It's been kind of crazy weather-wise, but already got some fish spawning in the Tennessee River Valley area. It's crazy. It's crazy, about as early as I've ever seen. Justin Lucas made a post this week of catching fish on Guntersville on the bed, sight fishing like February 27th. That's about as early as I've ever seen it, I'll be honest, if not the earliest in my entire life. So lots of crazy weather patterns, and fish are changing, but man, March is that time for me where you're starting to really get in the thick of it. That pre-spawn around here, and also that pre-turkey hunting mindset. So March is always welcome. And something else is welcome. A lot of y'all have been asking. Got a clean bill of health this week from the cardiologist. So I had an echocardiogram done. Finally got all the results from a heart monitor deal, and they did see some things that were irregular, but chalk it up to COVID kind of situation there. Post-COVID pericarditis is what it was diagnosed as. No physical damage to the old ticker. So we are back. I've been cleared to get back to exercising, thank goodness, and fix and knock some of these old LBs off of this lowlifer here. So thank y'all for the thoughts, prayers, questions, comments, people sharing stories. They're having the same thing going on. So absolutely back in the saddle now. Got that out of the back of my mind, and life moves on, man. Scary times there for a couple months, but we're gonna be all right. Like the triple threat said, she said, I gotta keep putting up with you. That's what the cardiologist said. I get to put up with you for a little bit longer. So that's always good to hear, man. But yeah, I just want to say a big thanks to all you low lifers for checking on me so much in the last couple months. Something else that was scary, also hilarious. It's been viewed a lot since I uploaded it last week, but I fell in out at one of my favorite little lakes to fish around home. If you haven't seen the video, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, but I kind of posted it as a warning to folks. Hey, bring some extra clothes when you're fishing in the winter, especially if you're by yourself. You need to wear your dang life jacket, which I do more than I don't, and I did not have it on Sunday while I was actually fishing. Of course, running the big motor. You're crazy if you're not wearing a life jacket with a kill switch hooked up, but big proponent of that, obviously, but wasn't wearing it while I was fishing, and I do a lot in the winter. My entire life, I've always been big on that, and man, it was like 60 degrees or, high 50s Sunday afternoon, man, and I didn't have it on, but I went in the drink, and the water temperature was 51, 52. It was brutal. And it was kind of a chaotic scene, as you can see in the video. I'm going to post a YouTube video about it, too, with a longer clip, because I was in the water for several minutes, and in about 8 feet of water. Took a bunch of rods with me over the side, got hooked by an Alabama rig going in. I didn't realize any of that happened. I just knew a lot of rods ended up in the water. But what the catalyst to all this was, I got a bite on a jig, DOLOB, and I hook this 3-pounder, and he gets me to this log, and he hits the log as I'm bringing him over, or this limb off of this treetop, and he hits it, he comes off, and the fish just kind of like bowls over this limb. It was really crazy. So see the whole fish. Then my jig just sticks, just like right in this fork. So I'm like, all right, I'll go up there. I couldn't get the pop loose. So I go up there, and it's right there, like there. I can see it. And I go to get it free, and the rod, and in the video, you can see this, like it just goes out of my hand. My hands weren't wet. I don't know. It was like it jumped out of my hand. It was a Mega Bass rod. Very expensive. That sucks. I pay retail for them at Baitworks using code Duncan-10. But I buy them. So, but I like those rods a lot. I've been free agent in the rod game. But anyways, it goes down, and the water's pretty clear out there, and I could see it like it was just slowly sinking, right? So I go to grab it. Well, before I know, I'm like elbow deep trying to grab it, and it's still going. And then my feet just kind of, came over my head, and there we went, kind of deal, over the side of the X21. But man, it was tricky. I couldn't climb back over the side. The motor was hung up in some limbs, so I didn't want to swim that way. And what's amazing to me in that situation, and I took a Coast Guard class years and years ago when I was doing a little bit of guiding when I was in college. You had to be Coast Guard certified and whatnot. And I took a class, and they call it the 5-5-5 rule. When the water's less than 55 degrees, you've got 5 minutes or so before hypothermic symptoms start setting in. So the whole time I'm in there, my legs immediately just locked up. It was wild how quick it happened. And I know you got Gerald Swindle out here doing the ice bath challenge and all this dumb stuff. He said it makes him feel like he's 70 years old again, makes him feel young again. And I don't get it. But my legs immediately were just like, oh, like they were in a bear trap, man. But then your brain, like, I see how people get in trouble. Like, I've always been like, oh, well, and you hear people say, oh, I'm a good swimmer, I'm this, I'm that. But everything just kind of goes into a weird state when your body hits that cold. And look, 51 is certainly not 40s, but damn, it's the coldest water I've ever been in, and or wanted to be in, that's for damn sure. And it's just like your brain's kind of, and you can, in the full video, you can hear me saying, you got to get out of this water. Like, I just keep saying it because, man, I was like almost just sitting there, and I was able to get my butt up on the log that all this had happened on, and it ran off the bank at an angle, and I was able to kind of hold on to the boat and slide up that log until I could get to shallow enough water to climb over the front like I did. So, I've had fun with that this week, though. So many funny comments from people, and then it's always funny to me when things get outside of the realm of like your following, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, something kind of goes semi-viral, because it's like over a couple 100,000 views or whatever on Facebook, and gets shared and shared and shared and shared. So you're running into people that aren't bass fishermen, or you're running into people that aren't necessarily fans of yours. They don't know who you are or whatever. And it's really funny. I mean, people are brutal too. They're just like, piece of garbage. That's what you get for being greedy. Like the mom's basement comments on the internet never cease to amaze me, no matter what's going on. But had some funny ones this week, man. Dumbass, just like really, really funny ones from definitely outside of our circle and our world in this bass fishing craziness. I had some. I posted a picture. I'd gone the day before and caught some of them craps. Some of them big slabber dabber crappies. I am a big fan of that now. I've never done it that much in my life. And I'm Wally Marshall, Bobby Garland Duncan now. And thanks to LiveScope, and it's a time. I'm gonna definitely get back after that in the next couple of days. But I'd done that the day before, and I posted that picture. Well, after all the heat got on the video I post on Sunday, dude, that picture started picking up steam. Then I started getting like vegans commenting on it because I'm talking about eating fish. Like it was bananas on Facebook this week, but I had a good time, man. You're never going to get away from like hating comments and people just, the internet's a weird place, man. I've seen that with, I was talking to Ronnie Moore about this, little Ron, little buddy Ron. It's just amazing to me how, and I think I've talked about this in the last couple of weeks on here, but how angry fishing fans are and the things that they have not only time to type and say, but they just break down every video that Bass MLF posts looking for something negative. It's not like, oh my God, that's really cool what just happened. Like Tyler Rivet catching one on a swim jig. You're like, oh, that's dang cool. But then they're like, oh, he's an idiot because he's flexing and he's doing this and he's doing. And it's just like, man, it really takes away from what's actually happening. And I think that's just our culture now because of social media, but it's just kind of sad to see, but I experienced a little bit of that this week. And it's been a while since I had one of the little viral clips that people got all tore up about. And it was fun. So go check it out if you haven't seen it. It was insane. I'm doing fine. My legs were sore all week, but which was kind of weird, but all good. Nothing but my pride. Ordered another Mega Bass rod from from Baitworks. So we good to go, and a new Corrado for it, and we gonna get after them again. All right, let's talk these sponsors real quick. Got to say a huge thanks to these folks each and every week. StarTron, StarBrite, down there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Good people, and they make this right here. StarTron, kicking ethanol in the teeth, an enzyme-powered fuel treatment. It's going to take care of your weed eater, your chainsaw. Most importantly, that outboard engine, because ethanol, all fuel, unless it says ethanol free, is going to contain at least 10% ethanol. And when it sits, especially for over a week or two, it can set up a disaster for you the next time you go out on the water. All you got to do is drop a little dab of this in your tank and let StarTron do the work. We appreciate the folks from StarTron bringing you low budget live and kicking ethanol in the teeth. Pro Guide batteries. Let's see here. I use the same sound effects for everything, but we'll be dramatic today. That wasn't dramatic. I hit the wrong one. That's just the super cool drum beat. I kind of want to hear more of that. But anyways, not so dramatic. I meant to hit this one. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen. So Pro Guide, I talk about them each and every week. Been running them for a couple years now. Big fan of the Pro Guide batteries. Started with those 31 series AGMs. Then I still use that for my cranking battery right now. And I'm using those new Pro Guide lithiums for my trolling battery. But I have an announcement. They're going to drop this bad boy at the Bassmaster Classic. And I'm going to try not to butcher this. But right here, let's see. I even brought one with me. Look at this. Look at this right here. Got a battery in the shop. In the bar and grill, Pro Guide lithium. This is a 24 series size cranking battery. Now, there's been a lot of discussion over cranking batteries in the lithium world for a couple years. Some of the engine manufacturers have said, oh, that's a big no-no. Now they have released requirements, like Mercury has certain requirements that these batteries have to meet, and this Pro Guide will absolutely meet those. It has 75 amp hours. It only weighs 19 pounds. Right here. 19 pounds right there. Yeah. 19 right there. To be available starting at the Bassmaster Classic. You can find them on ProGuideBatteries.com. But the coolest thing for me, your bilge area, like they're just getting more and more crowded. So I'm running that 31 series right now, 31 series size. And this takes up significantly less room being a 24 size, but has a lot more horsepower than the 31 series AGM that I'm currently running. So can't wait to get this thing dropped in the Express, but we appreciate Pro Guide Batteries. You can check them out, ProGuideBatteries.com. Use code LBL10 if you find something on there you like, and let them know you are a low lifer. Pro Guide Batteries. Baitworks.com, bait-works.com, Duncan-10 saves you money there on them LOB jigs. I was traveling last week, and I got to stop into Pro Guide Battery. I am all over the place today. But I got to stop into Baitworks, who also sells Pro Guide batteries, by the way. The mothership there in Springfield, Missouri. I got to stop in there and see the boys. And, of course, buy too much crap. But they had an LOB dadgum display right there front and center of the store. So great, so cool to see. But if you're ever in that area, go to that tackle store. But if you can't, get on baitworks.com, check out their selection. They are moving and shaking, man, and some of the best people in the game. And I cannot hit on this enough. A, you need to go get some LOB jigs, and B, their shipping times are ridiculous, man. I ordered that rod and reel from them on Monday. I was on the road Wednesday, and my stuff showed up. The Triple Threat found it. So, she's like, what is this? And I'm like, it's $500. That's what that is. That's what $500 looks like, honey. I love you. I'll take you to dinner when I get home. So baitworks.com, you're going to want to check them out online. And if you're ever in the area, go by there and tell them you are a low lifer. Good people doing good things. Last but not least, hang the banner. Express Boats, Hot Springs, Arkansas, that Bassmaster Classic winning high performance, all welded aluminum bass boat, 21 feet of fury. The X21 Pro LE, what I'm running this year, C-Deck, bow to stern, 250 Yamaha show, pushing that bad boy out of the hole very fast. Best hole shot I've ever experienced in a bass boat. It is something to see. Not easy to get back in when you're trying to climb over the front, though. Whoo, boy, this old weakling had a hard time. Had a hard time trying to pull up on the side of that bad boy. I had to go all the way to the very tip of the bow up there by that Garmin. But love my Express, man. I can't express that enough. You see what I did there? Fished in the rain in the sea deck all day last Saturday, and really just I see comments. People are like, "Oh, it gets slick." It does not. It does not. So that EVA floor, very cool. It's the only bass boat that does it bow to stern, and I just I'm in love with the boat. You can check them out, expressboats.com. If you ever get a chance to take a ride in one, do. But I can assure you, Express Boats has been building excitement since 1966, and we will be in the Express booth with a big old crowd and a big bunch of guests, a revolving door of guests. Not even sure who all just yet. I got a lot of names lined up. Bassmaster Classic in their booth, 1 p.m. on Saturday. And then, of course, we will be rocking and rolling there at the Hill Bar and Grill for the Low Budget Live Tailgate Party Meetup Throwdown Spectacular, starting about 7 p.m., I'm going to say. 7 or 8. 7-ish. 7:30. Split the difference. There, the Hill Bar and Grill, Knoxville, Tennessee, on good old Rocky Top. Hope to see you there. Made a post about that this week. Sounds like a bunch of low-lifers are getting ready, starting to get fired up. So we're a couple weeks away from that. All right, moving on. Man, I recorded early last week, so I didn't get to wrap up the Seminole tournament. And got to say, just massive congratulations to Joey Fuentes. He's my buddy. I've had him on here. Y'all have heard him, Cowboy Joe. Been around him. We fished co-angler against each other. We told all those stories on here. Go back and check that episode out if you missed it. But Joey is he's a genuine human being. And when I tell you the joy, when I saw he won and he was having the tournament of his life, putting it all together, because he's been very close over there on the pro circuit and had a chance to win the title championship a couple years ago. But just love seeing him hoist that blue trophy. Very in a short time period, man. Joey's not a guy that's been doing this for 20 years, which you can, again, go back and watch that episode. He tells his story, but so cool to see him climb the top of that to the top of that bass fishing ladder. And I'm certainly glad to call him a friend. So Joey may be joining us at the Low Budget Live as one of the special guests. I'm just going to throw that out there at the Hill Bar and Grill. Joey played a little music. That's what people don't know. Joey likes to pick and grin a little bit. So we will see what all we can get going there with Joey C. And another congratulations to a guy that I actually said this to him after he won the Toyota Series at Sam Rayburn. In his comments, I said, this won't be the last trophy this year. Dakota Ebare, Clarks Hill, phenomenal. Just the videos from that. I didn't get to watch a lot of live coverage because I was traveling. But the social media clips, highlights that I got to watch, just so freaking awesome. Catches a giant, like 8-pounder, breaks it off, then catches it again. He's doing the live scope thing. He's up on the bank. He's catching them both ways. Clarks Hill, or Clark Hill, whatever they call it, Great fishery. That was really cool to see, man. A new one on the schedule. Used to be kind of a constant in I mean, man, in the 90s it was on a lot of schedules, so it's cool to see it coming back around, and a fun one to kind of keep up with. So Dakota, man, just congrats. I don't think that'll be his last one. I think he's the hottest, other than Tyler Rivet. I think Dakota's the hottest in bass fishing right now, man. I think he's got the hottest hand, and I don't think that'll be his last. Speaking of Tyler Rivet, I got to get him on here. Interesting dude, but just on fire. I mean, straight up fire and fun to watch. What a good dude. Cool story. I was told through the grapevine he lost his title sponsor right before the season started, and now he's got his fishing logo on his jersey, out there repping himself, man. He's got some other sponsors, but I think his title stepped out on him, man. And I just, so cool to see guys, out there earning it. It's awesome to see, man. So all the trails this year, and I can't wait to get MPFL fired up because everything's in full swing, and we start in a couple weeks down on Pickwick. I'll be in studio with the Big Cat, and man, I just can't wait because, golly, fishing's fun this year. Weather's cool, like just different weather patterns. We're seeing things progress faster than we usually do, and all the first tournaments, whether it be BPT, Invitational at Okeechobee, the Invitational at Clark Hill, and then both elites, man, they've been nothing short of really good. I don't know if you heard that or not, but it's like the wind's blowing 97 miles an hour as I record this, and something just hit the bar and grill, like really hard. I'm not sure what it was, but we will continue on with Low Budget Live. I was just making sure the damn roof wasn't about to clap. I don't know if you could hear that because this microphone kind of cancels a few things out, but Lord have mercy. Yes, Lord, is what I should be saying. Whew, okay. Yeah, we got like straight line winds as I record this today, and it's humming out there. And I got a lot of big old pine trees here at the Traveling Circus headquarters, and I'm always nervous. We lose them. If you keep up on social media, you've seen it over the years, I'm sure. But we got some 40-foot pines on this place, and I don't know what that was. It sounded limish. Not tree-ish. So we're going to go check on it here directly. All right. We have got a really good guest this week that is a guy that I don't know him personally, other than just being around him a little bit over the years. We've never really competed against each other that much, other than maybe some opens way back in the day. But certainly a character in bass fishing that is always smiling, always bringing the one-liners. He's fantastic, but a guy that is such a great shallow water angler, man. Just one of those Carolina boys, great at skipping a jig, great with a vibrating jig, was on the forefront of the chatterbait revolution back in the day, and he has won $1.3 million. $1.3 million there, all across the board from Bassmaster to MLF. He's currently on the Bass Pro Tour. He will be competing at Redcrest, which kicks off this week, Charlotte, North Carolina. They got that expo going down. You can check it out. I'm going to be out of town doing some business. I will not be able to attend, but I know TH Marine's going to have a booth there. Baitworks going to have a big booth there. You can get the LOB jigs there, and like a 40 by 40. They're going to have a big spread. A lot of other companies in the industry will be there, but it is at the Park Expo and Conference Center, March 10th through the 12th there in Charlotte. I know there's a bunch of fish heads over there. That is for sure. Go check out the Red Crest Expo. I didn't get to make it last year there in Tulsa. A lot of folks enjoyed it, but didn't get to make it out. And I know we had that exciting finish with the Bobby Lane buzzer beater and all that. So really cool event. Go check it out. Hate that I'm going to miss it. I am going to miss it. I will try to be there next year. That is for sure. March 10th through the 12th. So Andy Montgomery will be competing with a lot of other BPTers to try to knock down Redcrest 5-fish format this year and that. So going to be interesting. Lake Norman's a super interesting fishery. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get the sauce from him right now, presented by the W Sauce from Blacksburg, South Carolina. Andy Montgomery. Well, all right, as promised, here he is, Mr. Blacksburg, South Carolina. I think he's the mayor down there. Andy Montgomery, thank you for joining me, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah, Luke, good to be here.
Absolutely, man. You headed into Redcrest. I talked a little bit about it before I got you on, and looking over your stats, it's amazing. You're one of the most consistent anglers over the years. $1.3 million in earnings, and mostly shallow. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's pretty fair to say.
Yeah.
I have had a few events offshore good, but mostly shallow.
Yeah, if I don't see you with some kind of vibrating jig in your hand or skipping a jig, I just don't even feel good inside. I'm like, all right, turn it off.
I don't feel good inside either, but hey, but I do say this: when you put that check in the bank, they don't ask if you caught him on a jig or a shaky head.
You know what? That's so good right there, because in this day and time, we all see the social media comments, this and that. Oh man, they're using forward facing. That's not bass fishing, or they're up there doing that. That's not bass fishing. When you're doing it in your line of work, it don't matter, right? That check hits, it don't matter, and the bass don't.
No. I use John Cox as an example. When he first hit the scene, I thought he was the best jig swimmer and flipper that ever came on tour. And then he started showing up on camera, and the dude's always got a spinning rod in his hand. Always got a spinning rod in his hand. And it's just, you look at Prosniks and the Dudleys of the world.
Yes.
Their philosophy was I'm gonna catch as many as I can, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna have me a bag. And then you go back like Andy Morgan's of the world, the flippers of the world. So but when you put it in the bank, they don't ask if you caught him on a spinning rod or if you caught him on a big boy pole.
Or in y'all's 5-fish format now, kind of going back to the roots, it don't matter how many bites you get as long as you got 5 good ones at the end of the day, right? So it don't matter.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't for the 5-fish. Just
really okay. That's interesting. That was in my notes just because every BPT guy I've had on this year, I just like talking about it because we all grew up doing that, and I liked the format. I enjoyed watching it. The only thing is if a guy got way out ahead, I get where folks would not like it if you were competing in that format. But and then at the first one at Toho, I loved the 5-fish format with the score tracker, just because it was cool to watch the decisions guys were making. Right? It was just we've never had that in that 5-fish deal. But what was your biggest argument against the change? Because I feel like you would have been one of the first ones.
No, I wasn't jumping up and down for it, but I don't care. That's what I grew up doing. I just felt like at a 2-pound minimum now, let me get that straight.
Yeah.
And I wish we would have started at a 2-pound minimum, but that's neither here or there. I wasn't for the 2-pound minimum either, until after it happened and I seen the benefits of it. So, but at 2-pound minimum, man, most lakes you don't fish any different. You just don't. Now, there's always outliners in fishing. That's always outliners in fishing. But most of the time at a 2-pound minimum, you don't fish any different. Because if you think about it, historically, 15 pounds has been a good bag. And you catch 15 pounds a day in the course of our careers, you're going to have a pretty dang strong career.
Right. Yeah.
There's outliners and all that, but that's just average. A lot of 15-pound bags don't have 5 over 2 pound in them.
That's right.
The littlest one's a 115. So I thought at a 2-pound minimum, it showed who was best that day for sure. It 100% showed who was the best that day. Now, I will say this with the 5-fish format, we're doing more of a combined weight deal, which may show who's best over the week. So it's one of them things, man, you can sit down and you can argue one way and be right. And then you can sit down and argue the other way and be right. You can be right on both sides.
Well, I think especially for the fans of it, you see mixed comments, mixed emotions when it was announced. You had people that loved the every fish. You had some of the naysayers grew up with 5. They're like, oh, thank goodness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it'll change, but I think some of the every fish counts folks thought that the drama might go away. But man, Chris Lane went a buzzer beater. Like, I think the score tracker plus being able to fish to that last minute without having to go to a weigh-in does add to the drama for sure, right?
So the score tracker is the best thing about Major League Fishing, in my opinion. It's real live scoring. It just is. It's the best thing. Whether it's five fish, all you can catch. It's the ebbs and flows. It's a live sporting event. It's no different than a football game. Or, I use the example of golf. If you're going into to 18, you're down by 2 shots, and it's a par 5. You're going for the green in 2. You're
Yes.
going to. If you go into, that, right? And in fishing, we've never knew it. And on the flip side, if you go in up by 2, you're gonna lay up.
That's right.
Put it on the green. You're gonna
Be
make
safe.
par, and you think, well, how does that translate to bass fishing? It can't translate to bass fishing. But I'll give you 2 examples in my career. So the first BPT ever at Kissimmee, at 12 o'clock the second day, I was in dead last. And Florida, you always fish around boats. It's hard not to. And I'm fishing around these guys, and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm gonna catch them catching fish for fish. It's just not gonna happen. You got to go find something by yourself. So I locked down, took off. First place I went, there's a few boats fishing. I'm like, not going there. Found me a bank that didn't have anybody on, and I cracked them and jumped into the cut. Ended up fishing 13 in the event. All right. On the other side of that, that's how you went for the green in 2. On the other side of that, I won a round in the selects at Del Hollow, and I think it was Del Hollow, but yeah, Del Hollow, and I wasn't catching them very good at all, but I was leading, and I knew I was leading, and I'm like, well, if I just stay in the back of this creek and just keep picking one off every hour and a half, hey, I'm going to win this deal. On the flip side, if I didn't know the score, I would have said, I'm fixing to get my teeth kicked in.
Pulling the trolling motor up.
Gone. So the score tracker changes the way you play. No different than football. They go to prevent defensive or up. They go to hurry up offensive or down. It's every sport's played knowing the score and making adjustments knowing the score.
I'll be honest with you, being a Tennessee fan, I can't believe you brought up football.
Yeah, they blasted us in there. They blasted us.
Your post made me laugh that night, and I couldn't even give you a hard time. I was like, I can't get on it because Clemson, Tennessee, historically, we don't play. It's not.
No.
That was a fun week leading up to that and all that. But yeah, I had to give you a hard time when you mentioned football. I got to say,
the bad thing is we battle for a lot of the same recruits, and Clemson was getting all them recruits, and now Tennessee's getting a lot of them. So. But the whole NIL thing and all that, the college landscape is changing. But
yes, it is. We need some of that money in bass fishing, Andy. We need some of that NIL. They're giving 19-year-old kids $8 million to throw a football. We can't even get. Let's get some of these tournaments to $1 million first place or something. Come on, I don't know how
that'd be nice.
Yeah, why?
Yeah,
I was Go ahead.
Like we can get it there, but we can't stay there. I fished for $1 million.
That's right.
A few times in my career. So, it'd be nice to get it there and stay there for sure. But it's the ebbs and flows of the economy, man. And it's just, I felt like we might be headed that way. And then COVID happened. And, even though sales went through the roof after COVID, we both know that working in the industry, they've also pulled back now. So,
yes, they have. Yeah. Things are starting to soften up a little bit, seems like, and it's I don't think we'll see I pray that we don't see a full-blown 2008 like we did where things really bottomed out. But yeah, I can tell you, like on the boat builder side of things and in my world at TH Marine, things are slowing down a little bit. You start to see that from that COVID hangover, I call it. We had all these people buying boats and buying tackle, never bought it before, and that's all kind of settling out, seems like.
Yeah, it's settling out, but let's hope it settles in a safe place.
Yes.
And I'm optimistic that it will, just mainly because of high school and college fishing and the amount of kids that's involved in fishing, and there are more people bass fishing. You see a lot of numbers that more people fishing or less people fishing, but I hadn't seen the numbers on bass fishing, but I sure feel like there's more people bass fishing now than ever.
I can tell you, and you live in a popular, there's more bass fishermen per acre over there where you at. It's like where I'm at in southern Tennessee, North Alabama, around the Tennessee River. There's more people bass fishing. I can just tell you. I mean, it certainly feels it. There's a lot of boats buzzing around on a Tuesday. If you try to slip off, you're like, where'd y'all come from, man? 10 years ago, you'd be by yourself. It's good. It's good to see as we progress. And And what's cool about it for me, and I wonder about for you, because you do like we said, you like shallow water, but with all these different folks in here now, we got all these college kids and we got people from all over the world bass fishing. These new techniques are popping up and new things. Is there something that you've ran into in, like, say, the last 4 or 5 years that you've adopted into your fishing? Like a technique
Man,
is there something that you've kind of changed Andy Montgomery's style at all?
that's a pretty good question. I probably use a spinning rod a little more,
Okay.
thanks to the John Coxes of the world. But I still try to get away like I always have. Fishing the bank, power fishing. I'm still playing with the active target type situation. I've caught them on it. I actually caught some at Cayuga on it, but I'm still incorporating that into the shallow water deal. So yeah, there's not really one thing that jumps out. The last big thing for me was the chatterbait, and now I throw the thunder cricket. But the last game changer for me was that the game changer for the industry is no doubt electronics, no doubt. And when we talk about Redcrest coming up, man, I'm talking to Thrift the other day. We hadn't talked in a few weeks, and he's like, man, I'm ready for this to be over. I'm like, dude, me too. me too.
Well, you got a lot of experience there, Norman, just like Thrift does. And I was about to say that tournament sets up so good for you. That was one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you this week, just because your experience, but it's known as this dock lake, brush lake, and you can skip a jig better than anybody. I mean, there are like 5 guys that I would say, all right, those are the elite of the elite of the elite jig skippers, dock fishermen, and you're right there in that group of guys. Marty Robinson being one of them. I'll throw Swindle up there. I mean, just good dock skippers. But when you said that live scope, I mean, is Thrift a little worried that can play out there at Redcrest? Is he smoking them cigs? That nervous smoking?
I don't know if he's as worried as I am that it could play a big factor. It's going to play a factor, but when we had the FLW there, I forget the year. Brian won. I finished third. Still ticked off I didn't finish second, but anyway, Brian won. I finished third. We had a huge advantage just because of the amount of brush piles, the amount of the good little rocks we knew. But man, we don't anymore. These cats have been out here. I've seen them. Just they don't even put a rod on the deck. They just idle. Back then it was only 2D. You ain't gonna find brush and all that at the rate that they do now. I was just watching Tristan McCormick, one of the dude, he's looking for brush piles during the tournament. He's fishing fresh brush piles, and so that takes away a lot of the home field advantage. It just does. They're gonna know about a bunch of brush that I don't even know about because they've spent the time out here and found it. So I think electronics have took away the home field advantage. In our sport. Not just that, old school. Looking for a minnow bucket or a rod holder on a dock or just an old dock or any sign that these cats might put brush on it.
Yes.
And then taking my jig and daubing around, to find it. And I forgot a lot, obviously getting older, but back in the day, we knew Norman so well. We knew where that brush pile was on that dock. We knew the cast. Well, guess what? They can be fishing down the bank now, and they see a rod holder. They just scan around with that active target, like, yep, there's that brush on that left corner. Where back when FLW fished there, we knew that in our head, so it was a big advantage. I say all that to say, we know the lake good. Neither one of us has fished it a tremendous lot lately. Brian's fished it way more than me, but these cats are going to show up knowing it too. And they're good, and they're I mean they're just good. I don't care. I've fished them all. Fished the FLW Championship. I fished the Classic multiple times, and I fished the Redcrest multiple times. You put a championship with 40 guys on any of them tours, them cats are good, and they're even better now with the knowledge they show up to a lake with. They already know where the brush piles are, and they already know all that stuff. So. it'll be a challenge for me or Brian to win or do well just as much as it will anybody else.
It's interesting that you say the electronics have taken away that home field advantage. I feel that on Pickwick. I fished a bass
Oh,
down
100%.
there, and I know where all the little hidey holes are. Dude, you roll up the first day of practice, and so does everybody else. You got guys been there for 3 days just riding around. It's like, oh well, he found that little shell bar. He found that dump row. You're like, you know, it is amazing. Well, and I think what's changed about it. And it's these guys. I'll throw Wheeler in there. I had him on right after he'd been to Norman pre-fishing, and he said he rode, barely made a cast for like 6 days or something. I don't have that in me to ride around and look at the screens. And I know I don't feel like you're a guy.
I don't. No. I don't got it in my. I don't have it in me. I can't do it. But these dudes can. Edwin did the same thing. You know, he was here and he actually used a boat from Bass Pro, and you know, Eric called me and he's like, "How do you put that many hours on a boat in 3 days?" It's like the dude sleeps 6 hours, and he's out there island the other 18 in a day. You like that math, didn't you? As a Clemson graduate, just did that in his head.
That was that tiger in you right there.
Yeah, but you put that kind of time behind the electronics we have today, and they'll be a local pretty quick. Not to mention Google Earth. We didn't have Google Earth back in them days. It's just, so they show up ready to compete, and it's I just feel like Pickwick, Gunnersville, they're all classic examples of you know, how the home field advantage has kind of lessened over the years.
Without a doubt. I think it's interesting you say that about Edwin, because whenever Edwin first came on the scene, I thought he was just this shallow water power fisherman too, for the most part. Yeah, he won smallmouth events and different things, and you've seen him do a lot of different things. One down on the Alabama River, the big crankbait. I mean, he's done a lot of different things over the years, but to hear that, Edwin just goes up there and grafts all day. It's crazy to think that he's kind of adapted to that as well. I know he's a meticulous guy. I could see him doing that. What about your buddy Ott? Is he an idler? Will he go idle for hours?
He will. He don't pre-practice. You know, I don't pre-practice either. But Ott idles a lot in tournaments. I mean, well, he does it in the tournaments too, but you know, he'll idle a lot in our 2 days of practice for sure. And he finds that obscure stuff. It's one thing that made Thrift so good, you know, for so many years. You know, Thrift was ahead of the curve with the 360, you know, that and the side imaging and the 360 type stuff. You know, he was on the forefront of that. And now you're seeing the guys on the forefront of the forward-facing sonar. Ott does it more in the tournament, though. He's really good with his side imaging stuff, too. He'll find – man, that dude finds so many schools shallow. That's schools of fish, you know, multiple casts, you know, 4 to 6, 7 foot of water. That's hard to do. It's hard to do. But he does it.
Thrift with his side imaging stuff. I can remember talking to him on Pickwick one time, finding little old holes, depression, springs, whatever. And I'm like, man, I've been down here since I was 5 years old. I didn't know that was there. He's like, yeah, Duncan, I had this place. I'd stop and catch 18 pounds right out of the jump. You're like, where's that at? Drop a brother after you leave. You know, I'll never forget that down there. I forget who won that one. It's in the summer, a tour event down there. But I was with him and Gagliardi down there one night having dinner, and he's like telling me about it after day one. You sucker. You sorry, but you are. So I want to, you said the chatterbait was just the last thing that really changed your life fishing wise. And you were the guy. Like between you and Thrift, it's y'all's fault. Y'all could have kept it to yourself. It could have been.
No, you couldn't.
You couldn't have. But talk about that time, because how many years has that been?
It's 2005-ish, something like that. I quit work in 2006, so it was 2006, 7, something like that. Ott's better at years than me. I'll ask him like, when we fish the elites, and he'll just rattle off the years. When we go to make, you know, I don't keep up with years, but so the guy that invented it, Ron Davis Sr. he was friends with an old friend of mine, and they was fishing together, and Ron said, whenever I let him go, I'll give you one, and he did. And then I gave Brian some. He won one Okeechobee, and even when Brian won Okeechobee, we didn't realize the power of it.
No.
We didn't realize the power. Now, Tony, my old buddy, he was telling me what was happening at Lake Wiley when he'd go fishing with Ron. So, um, you look back on it, and Thrift won that. It exploded. I won the co-angler of the year that year. That's the year I fished. Back then, you had to qualify to get an FLW if
Right.
you didn't have a sponsor exemption. So we was fishing the Ever Starts and the FLW Tour as a co-angler. And I won the co-angler year mainly because of that bait. I had it, nobody else. Boy, I could tell you some stories on that. It's so funny. But
people begging, people in the floor, please, I'll give you
oh
$500.
man, yeah, the late Mark Pack, who I had a
Yes.
blast with him in the back of Coffee Slough at Pickwick. Man, that he was head deep in his rod box looking for one. And he finally found one. I think he was in like second that day after that day there showed me the power of that dude, because he's flipping them cypress trees, and he flips all the way around them. And Mark was an incredible fisherman. And he's flipping, whatever the Lake Fort bait was then, the beaver style, raised bug style bait. And he saturated them trees, and he didn't get a bite. And he'd go on, and I'd roll that chatterbait by him and catch one. I'm like, whoa. Fast forward to the Alabama rig, did the same thing. You catch fish that you couldn't catch on anything else. So, yeah, that's when I really realized the power of it. But it really helped me in Brian's career, So after it exploded, Ron and Ron Jr., who was kind of leading the business side of things, they sponsored us that next year when we was rookies on FLW. So, neither one of us had a bunch of money coming out, so anything helped, and that little bit sure did give us a boost. I ain't gonna say we wouldn't have made it without it, because I feel like we would have found a way. We always found a way. Sleep in your truck, whatever, split a cheeseburger, do what you got to do. But it sure helped. That's a fact. And then he sold the Z-Man. We was there 1 year. And then kind of went on about our past and our career. Brian's back with Z-Man a little bit now, but I've built my career with Strike King. So it was very, very influential in our career, no doubt.
It's crazy to think that, and you guys, I had heard of y'all forever around here, and I was real tight with Gagliardi back then. Anthony and I had met Anthony about 2 or 3 years earlier, and he was always telling me about Thrift and about you and Jason Quinn over there in that part of the world. Yeah. I knew of you boys, and then I'll never forget, it was 04, right before the Classic at Charlotte, and at Wiley there. And I stayed at Anthony's house, and him and his daddy, Big G, the late Big G.
Yeah.
One of my favorite humans of all time.
Ever.
The best. And we miss him, I'll assure you, every day. And so I go out on Murray. It's August. It's hot. It's miserable. And he goes, we can go out here and cast around a little bit. And he hands me this thing. He goes, you got to check this out. And it's a chatterbait. And he had a big old fluke on. Anthony's always got something crazy he's throwing. He's always coming up with something with that engineering mind of his.
Yeah.
And man, I'm like, this thing's wild. Well, the fishing was terrible. We didn't catch anything. Well, I just go on about my business, right? I don't even tell anybody about, oh man, y'all see this thing Anthony's got? It's called a chatterbait. And then right after that, you boys go on this tear. Thrift wins, and I'm going, oh no, I screwed up by not listening to Gagliardi on that. He's done that to me several times. Side imaging was another one that I didn't jump on immediately after he showed me all about it at Murray one time. But it's crazy to hear you say that bait for you and Thrift, who've had these amazing careers, really was just the catalyst that got it rolling.
Oh,
y'all would have made it regardless, but that was that springboard y'all needed. That's so crazy to think about.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm still friends with I hadn't talked to Ron Sr. when our mutual friend Tony passed away a few years ago. We seen each other and talked, and But I still talk to Junior, a few times a year, sometimes more than that. So, man, and me and Brian talked about it. We're forever grateful for, to them too. We are forever grateful. Now they're grateful for us too. Now don't get it. Don't think it ain't. Don't think they ain't. Ron's wife, Valerie. She's a sweetheart too. She actually named her cat Shelby. I think she named her cat Shelby because of Thrift. So it's a mutual gratification, brother. There, it's a mutual gratification.
Russ, I can imagine the CHATTERBAIT royalty checks. The CHATTERBAIT earnings are okay around that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that was one of them that especially with all the patent stuff. I mean, it's just been that bait that, man, it's been golly, it's such a big one. Now you were influential though in the Thunder Cricket too. With and I mean, I know it's great. A lot of guys catch them on it. You are I've got a bunch of them in the boat myself, and I think it's cool. Now you got the Lou signature series. You got all your rods. You got
I mean, that reel now. Don't forget that reel. That reel's what I'm proud of. That reel's a bad dude.
I don't have one of them yet. I'm gonna have to.
Oh,
I've seen the videos.
If you think you skip now, you get one of them. See what happens.
Really? Now
it's that good.
Is it just the braking system that you're?
No, I ain't
What's the deal there?
I ain't gonna. I did something simple and just made a shallow spool, and it worked.
Okay.
I ain't gonna take credit for the insides and the engineering side of it. Obviously, Lou's is one of the leaders in the industry, so they already got great gearing. They got all that. I just came up with the shallow spool, and boy, did it work.
That's awesome.
It exceeded my expectation. I mean, we just came out. So we had a high speed one, so I basically threw a jig and slackline stuff on it. But we just came out with one that I wanted one to throw Thunder Cricket, spinner baits, everything on it. We just came out with one that's a 7-speed that I throw everything on it. It's a bad dude, man. I'm proud of that joker. You can't tell.
I like it. I'm going to go to the tackle store this afternoon. I got a big loop dealer right down the road. Now I'm like, yep.
There you go.
I know what I'm going to go do today because I'm a dock skipper. So anything to help my fat thumbs out, I'm game for it, buddy.
Yeah,
man, that's crazy to see. Do you with the Thunder Cricket, do you have any favorite color setups or anything? I normally don't do nuts and bolts type stuff on here, but I mean, but I think that I got an expert. We got to pick your brain, dude. Is there a certain line set up with your chatterbait you're always going to go to, or do you vary it? Because I feel like I stick with the same thing all the time.
Yeah, no, I do too. I throw 20-pound fluorocarbon.
Hey, 20.
I think most people's got away from braid on that sucker.
For sure.
Brett Height throws fluorocarbon. I throw fluorocarbon. Todd Alton, who we know is extremely good with that bait, he actually still throws monofilament. So most people has got away from the braid side of it. As far as colors, it's just pretty simple. The whites, the black and blues, the green pumpkin, the gold. We just come out with the gold blade, so that's pretty cool. The biggest thing with a everybody calls them bladed jigs now. I still call them chatterbait some, or I call them Thunder Crickets most of the time. But the biggest thing with any of that is you can change your trailers up and really change your bait. So I use the raised bug, I use the blade minnow, I use the rage swimmer. That's a big deal, changing up your trailers.
Do you use the full size rage bug?
Yeah, most of the time. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That raised bug, when it's flat, and you come through wood cover, it helps keep it from rolling over. So keeps it a little more snags. And it skips good too.
I'm a big fan of that blade minnow. I love that thing.
Oh, dude,
it's tough to beat, man. It's a good one. Like just
that
sucker on there, don't bite off a centimeter of it. I like the profile it gives you. I like that thing a lot. But 20-pound fluoro all the time. So that's where I'm at. That's where I've always been with it. Me and little Trey Swindle get in arguments all the time. He's like 15-pound line. I'm like, what, you crazy?
No, I don't do that. I throw 20. It's got a jig hook in it, man. You got to get a hook through them.
That's right.
It's got I use a little stiffer rod than a lot of guys. But anyway, you gotta get a hook through them, and that's the reason I go with the 20.
That was going to be my next question on the rod is when you said a lot stiffer, because when I first started out, I was like, I was throwing on a medium heavy, like something I might throw a spinnerbait on with a little, because I mean, a spinnerbait's the same way for me. It's got a, I don't want a fairy wand on it because it's got a meat hook in it. I mean, most good spinnerbaits you throw, so you want to drive that hook in. But I've gotten with my chatterbaits, I do like that, not necessarily the full blown cranking rod, but I do like a glass, that medium heavy is what I've kind of come to like. But you're saying you like something a little stiffer than that then?
Yeah. Mine's medium heavy, and it's got a lot of tip to it. You know, I mean, it's a Lou signature series, but it's a bad dude too. But man, you got to do what works for you. It works for me. I do a lot of skipping. I fish a lot of cover. So I need that backbone to get that hook through him and get him out. But I also need that tip, you know, to I think it does help a little bit to have a tip. But that's one of them things, man. If you sit down, I'm gonna argue with you. My rod's the best, and I'm gonna tell you why. And then you sit down with Brett Height. We know how good he is. He's gonna argue that his is the best, and we're both gonna be right. You know, there's nothing's absolute in fishing. So, but I do like a little stiffer rod. That's a big old hook. That's a in the Thunder Cricket. It's an owner jungle hook. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I want to drive that baby home.
I like that. I've caught for over the years, like I said, I've just played with different combinations. My buddy Brad Knight, he's always like, throw them cranking rod, throw that thing in the river, man. You need a stiffer rod. We always argue about rods. So I'm like, I got Andy Montgomery. I'm fixing to ask about some rod setups. And I know you got your signature series, and I don't own one yet. And I've got to get one. The man that's the chatterbait guru. I got to get a hold of that. So I got to get away from fishing for a second. I got
all right, bring it on.
I always feel like you are you're a one-liner, man. You quick. You're one of my favorite folks to follow on social because you're just real as rain. That's if anybody ever asked me about Andy Montgomery, I'd say you're real as rain. You're showing your life. You out there wading through cow crap. Then you have to turn next week. I mean, it's great to see. You always got your family on your social media. I love that about you. But there's been some big things going on in South Carolina. Now I know this is a little down the road from you, but have you heard about this murder, this craziness going on? I watched a Netflix documentary this weekend, and I said, man, these folks kind of talk like some of them Carolina boys I know. Have you been keeping up with that at all?
No, my wife has.
Okay.
Look, I taught her to tie jigs yesterday. And tie skirts on Thunder Cricket. So I taught her yesterday, and she got pretty good at it. But she told me, she said, "Hey, buddy, tomorrow, I think it was 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I ain't tying none. That's when he gets sentenced." And I'm like, "Nah," but no, I watch a lot of sports, and that's that's really all I pay attention. She watches all them murder mysteries and all that. It make you think, man. She's into that stuff now. How to kill your husband and all that stuff. She's into it. She said, "Oh me," but yeah. So it's a big deal around here, but I hadn't got into it.
So my wife is the same way. That's actually made me watch this craziness last weekend. We went to go to bed. She said, "I got a documentary we got to watch on Netflix." And I always accuse her. I'm like, "Do you watch these for?" It's like R&D when you R&D in a new bait. Are you watching this for research? So nobody ever finds me. How does this, you can get away with it? And your wife's the same. All my buddies, it's the same thing. Man, my wife watches all this murder all the time. I'm like, because they plotting our death, man. I think they just waiting on us to step out of line.
Yeah, they're into that stuff, man. It's amazing how many wives are into the murder mysteries. It's amazing, really. It really is. But hey, I got two good neighbors, though. I got one on one side of me. He just turned 95, sharp as a tack, ready to go. I got one on the other side of me. He's 81. They watch out for me.
Good.
Yeah, we good. We good.
I like it. Yeah, I got to keep it up with that. And I wrote that down right before I got on this call with you. I'm like, I got to ask Andy about that, if he knows anything about that at all. My wife, I was coming down the road. I've been up to Springfield, Missouri this week for TH, and I was coming home, and she sends me this big old text. They found him guilty. She was saying, it's all in, man. All in.
I'm like, who's guilty? Guilty of what? I'm thinking one of my friends or something. They don't never get in trouble. But anyway,
that's so awesome, man. talk about a little bit your involvement with Fishers of Men. And I think it's so cool. I've known Al since I was 16 years old, 39 years old now. I fished my first Fishers of Men with my dad at 16. I don't get to fish them as much anymore. Want to get my boys involved in that though. It was an absolute great foundation for so many guys. I think, obviously the BFLs are fantastic and things like that, but for a team tournament series, that Fishers of Men trail, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's a great message. It's good to fellowship the way the meetings are, but it's been a springboard for a lot of careers. You look at, I think Peraznik competed in those, John Cox in the national championships. There's been so many guys, but now you're on what is this year? It's years in a row of working.
Oh yeah, it's 4 or 5 years for sure. But yeah, Cox was talking about it this weekend. He said the money they won, springboard. That's just like for all the reasons you mentioned. It's a tremendous tournament trail, strong in Alabama. Hey, they some divisions in Texas now paying 10 grand first place every tournament. So it's good, but it gives guys a chance to go to a regional and then make a national championship. I think it's the longest running team tournament trail in the country, and we've both seen locally trails come and go. So to maintain Al's a tournament director, that is not an easy job, brother. It's just not. You can't please everybody, never will. But he's extremely smart, and he's steady. He's steady. He's just, that dude's so mentally tough, and he's so steady. But it came about for me from, I had another long time sponsor, and he was getting out of the business, and he approached me, and he said, he's a big supporter. He was saved at a Fishers of Men event, and he said, I feel like you're the guy that I want. Would you be interested in running the wrap and, help promote the trail? So, he's kind of behind it. I don't take any money from Fishers of Men. We actually raise money and all that stuff. But it's been good, man.
That's
been
interesting.
Good.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, if you ever, that was my biggest hang up. I'm like, man, I hope none of these guys think I'm taking money from it. But it's been good. And, as I travel around, speak, it's a big part of my testimony. And it's pretty, the short and sweet of it was, I watched Ott and Shaw, and I sat in all these events and watched these guys share their faith. And a lot of them's got powerful stories, like really, really powerful. And I was always, I ain't got one. I love listening to them. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. But then how it evolved into, hey, buddy, now you're running the Fishers of Men wrap. What you gonna do now? It's how God works in all our lives. I'm actually going tonight to speak at one in Albemarle. So it's a really, really good trail for all the things I mentioned. And it's been good for my career for sure.
One of my number one fishing memories came at a Fishers of Men. The first one I ever fished, Gadsden, Alabama, Neil Henry, me and my dad. I was 16 years old, and Al was there. Man, I thought that was so cool. I was like, man, that's a national. This is the dadgum national. And you're trying to get you. I was ahead of the curve, just like you were, as far as there wasn't no high school fishing when I was coming up. I mean, you had to fish what you could fish, and so this is what me and my dad, we had well in clubs around home. And then he found that, and he goes, hey, I think we ought to fish this thing. And what's crazy about it for me is a lot of reasons, but I met the owner of TH Marine at that tournament, Bill Huntley, who passed last fall. Mr. Bill was fishing the tournament. He was a local tournament legend around here. I'd fished him in tournaments, but I got to spend time with him. We roomed next to him a few times. So Mr. Bill fished him with his son-in-law. And then my boss today, Greg Bowie, our executive vice president now, but he was a sales manager at the time, was the guy to beat in that division. Him and his dad, they won the points. Right? So me and my dad come in. I'm this kid wearing my tournament jersey, thinking I'm all big and bad, got my Triton jersey on. But we got beaten, and Al says, guys, we want both partners to come up on stage tomorrow if you got a good bag. Well, somebody raises their hand as, fisherman being smart. Like I said, well, what's a good bag, dude? The weather was brutal. It's early March. And he's like, if you got 10 pounds, come up. I mean, and I'm like, so me and my dad had a rough time, but we found this one little old hole, offshore hole. We end up sitting on it all day, and we catch nearly 18 pounds of spots off this thing, and we win. It's the first time we'd ever seen Neely Henry, but we come in, and my boss to this day, like I said, Greg Bowie, he's the points guy. They're the guys to beat. That's all you ever hear. He was winning Redmans back then. I mean, I just knew,
Yeah.
I knew Bowie, right? Well, we come up, and I got my bag, and we're in the bump tank there, and Al is doing the weigh, and he turns around and says, "Man, that's a good bag of fish." And Greg Bowie says, "Thank you." He says, "No, look behind you."
You remind him of that daily, don't you?
Every time we're in a boat, I'm like, "You remember that time when I was 16, I kicked your teeth in over at Neil Henry?" But he for years though, I thought Greg hated me because we came in, we won the points, and I was like, "Man, that guy don't like me." And then right out when I was in college, he came up to me at the Bassmaster Classic, started talking to me about maybe going to work for TH. So just crazy how things, but Fishers of Men, I've got plaques down in my garage, points.
Yeah.
I'll never ever take for granted my time getting to fish those. So I love seeing that logo every time your logo comes across and on your jersey and everything, man. It's always been cool.
It's a really good deal. It's been good to me. And like I said, Al's, man, that dude's so mentally tough. And how the mental aspect of the sport, how important it is. And he's been a big influence on me, just getting to know him, being friends with him. How mentally tough. He lost a son.
Yes.
Yes. In a tragic car wreck, and gosh, dude, he's just mentally tough, and it's been good. He's mentally tough because where he's grounded at. He's grounded in his faith. That's where he gets his toughness from. But it's been good, man. It's a great trail. There's something about, and you'll remember this, when you're fishing, you're first starting, there's something about qualifying for that regional.
Yeah.
And then there's something about qualifying for a national championship. So that's one of the only team trails I know in existence nationwide that you can do that.
Yeah. I fished a national championship. I turned 17. And I had a BFL regional that I qualified for as a co-angler. It was the first year they had co-anglers, and I nearly won the points in that deal at 17. And I made it to the regional at Seminole, and I caught one the first day and a 7-pounder the second day, one big fish, and almost made the All-American out of the bag. 17. I'd rode down there with a buddy. My dad fished the first day of the Fishers of Men National Championship on Neely Henry without me, and I drove all night and got to the boat ramp.
Yeah,
with my buddy, and climbed in and fished it. So, man, I got a lot of memories of them Fishers of Men.
This is a national. Yeah, in your mind, this is a national.
This is it. Bro. They giving away a boat, son. When you fish.
I'm rolling.
Well, all right. My apologies to Andy Montgomery, to all you listeners. I was about to wrap it up. We were winding down. A lot of good stuff there with Mr. Montgomery, but as you can see, the lights are back on. That was interesting. So as you heard earlier in the episode, crazy storm, straight line winds here at the bar and grill today, and power went out. Power went out for hours. I'm just now recording the end of this several hours later. Andy had some conflicts. We couldn't finish the episode, the interview with him. Got a lot of time with him there, though, and we're grateful for it. But I was just going to wish him luck at Redcrest at the end and give him a hard time about his big boy violation he posted the other day when he fell down in the boat. It was fantastic. Go look at that video. It'll make you smile on his social media. But thanks to Andy for coming on. Best of luck to him out there trying to chase down that 300K and that trophy, man, on a lake that he knows a lot about. But I certainly enjoyed it. Hope all you did too. Sorry for the abrupt ending. It was just sitting here like, what the hell? What the hell? And I thought, you know what? We can get back on the call. Well, like he said, he had to go speak at a deal and for Fishers of Men, and he had some other family obligations today. We had a real tight window we were trying to record in. So, yeah, I said, you know what? Let's send it. It's Low Budget Live. And you don't even know till you get to the end, right? So I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. I thought it was so cool with the CHATTERBAIT stuff. He was just at the height of that, and when it just blew up, it was just Andy and Thrift. It was so cool. But two good dudes that absolutely know how to catch them right there. But they rode that wave, and I do think they would have got to the level that they're at in professional angling regardless, right? They would have found a way. But Amazing stuff. What's amazing is I know you can't hear it through the microphone. It's truly blowing like 40 with gust over no telling what at my house right now at the bar and grill. So I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go put on a helmet and hide from trees. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Like always, going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues. Do not forget Low Budget Live at the Classic in the Express booth on Saturday the 25th, 1 p.m. And then the party, the tailgate, the throwdown at the Hill Bar and Grill Saturday night, March 25th there in Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll see all you low-lifers there, and we'll see y'all next week. See ya.
Damn these Biloxi Blues, it happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine. The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This high